The caliber of Dragon Ball Sparking Zero players online certainly rises to power levels that approach and well exceed 9,000. We already have 2 guides covering basic and advanced tips for solo play, but if you're looking to take your skills online and test yourself in ranked matches, you might want some of these extra advanced tips and strategies. Let's start with the biggest tip that we can offer for those struggling in the C or D ranks. Z-burst dashes are not as good as you may think they are. Sure, they let you cover a ton of distance in a flash and put you at the opponent's more vulnerable backside, but it's an easily readable move when you're a football field away. Your opponent can simply sidestep it and punish the obvious move. That's not to say that you should never use a Z-burst dash, but more that you should mix up your approach. To go along with the preceding tip, sometimes it's better to hang back and wait for an aggressive or impatient opponent to come to you. You don't need to rush into an engagement. In fact, it can often be better to play it slow, charge up in short bursts, and have your thumb on the dodge button, ready to step out of the way of your opponent's approach. What you never want to do is let your opponent get away with charging up their ki for free. If they just hold down the ki charge button, make them pay for it with their health by shooting them with basic ki blasts. With many characters, you can even combo into rush attacks after landing a flurry of ki blasts, which makes it a great approach option. Be aware that a common tactic is to get people to commit to a Z-burst dash by baiting them with a ki charge, so be careful about dashing in when your opponent starts to charge. Remember this combo that I showed in my previous video?
You'll regret that!
Yeah, well, if you're attacking from the front, forget all of it, because it doesn't work against most humans. The only gapless combo extender is the Jumping Kicks Rush Chain, with an honorable mention to the Gut Punch, which will beat Perception, but will not beat a standard guard. Everything else loses to both. That said, as I said before, a charge sweep or lift kick will break a standard guard, and while it can still be Perception countered, it will cost a bar of the opponent's skill stock. So if they are out of skill stocks, or you're simply just looking for a way to reduce the number of them, those are still good options. You also do not want to mash out all 5 hits of a rush combo while the opponent is blocking, because if they block the last hit, you're always punishable. So what do you do then? Well, here are some options for when the opponent blocks the first hit of your rush combo. Use the charge sweep or lift kick. This will crush standard blocks, but it will lose out to a directed block and perception, though the perception will cost the defender a stock of their skill counter. Use jump kicks, if your character has them. Jump kicks are unique in that they are essentially an overhead that will beat a standard block. This is a great knowledge check and tends to destroy people who don't know that you can hold perception while blocking to beat jump kicks. Use a charge rush chain. This will break standard blocks but lose perception and vanish. Use high speed movement to try to get behind the opponent. This will beat guard and perception, but allows your opponent to counter with their own high speed movement and potentially turn the tables on you. Stop the combo short and try to throw. This beats guarding and can't be vanish countered, but the opponent can mash out their own rush attack to hit you before the throw lands. Cycle through these options and you'll be much harder to defend against. When you land a hit from behind the opponent, it's party time.
Dodge this.
Perception, guard, and revenge counters all do not work when hit from behind. The only thing that does work is a super counter, and you'll likely be able to do some good damage before they're able to find the timing. In back turn, all of those fake combos suddenly become real, but still, keep the following combo rules in mind. Number 1, you cannot repeat the same rush chain twice in the same combo. You can't do a gut punch as a combo extender and then use gut punch again. Unless you're in sparking mode, you cannot press the rush attack button more than 5 times. However, you can continue a combo after the 5th hit of a rush combo by dashing forward and continuing the assault. You can do this 2 times, but the 3rd time, the combo will drop. Here's an example of what you can do when you get behind your foe while abiding by those rules. One thing that many players online love to do is just throw blasts outside of combos like a Hail Mary. Unfortunately, it's harder to dodge these than you might think.
Fighting! Bomber!
But here are some tips. If there's plenty of distance between you and your enemy, the best way to avoid these is just simply to dash away. If you don't have room to dash, the next best thing would be to hold block, then release and quickly press block again when the attack is about to hit. This way, you're attempting to hit the timing of a reversal vanish, but if you miss it, you should still block the attack. If the attack is unblockable, and you can tell when it is by looking for the black lines along the corners of the screen during the startup animation of a blast, you either must use a reversal vanish, or if you're close enough, you can make use of the invulnerability of your step dash. Characters with Afterimage, Afterimage Strike, or Instant Transmission can also use those skills to avoid getting hit by unblockable blasts. One of the most annoying skills you'll almost certainly have to deal with when you start playing online is Afterimage Strike. This is a 3-skill counterstock buff that many low DP cost characters have that essentially makes them unhittable by rush attacks and blasts, as they will simply vanish out of the way automatically. It also lasts for a whopping 15 seconds, has no visible tell or activation, and has virtually no drawbacks at all. The unfortunate answer to, so how do I deal with it, is basically to try to wait it out. Pay attention to their skill counter and start counting down from 15 once you see their skill stocks drop by 3. Try to keep your distance, punish predictable zebra stashes with throws, and use basic key attacks to rack up some damage. If you get the chance, you should try to get into sparking mode, either with a skill that lets you into the mode instantly, or charge up into it after knocking the enemy away with a reversal. When in sparking mode, keep your opponent locked down with key blasts to not only deal damage, but also burn the amount of time they have left with the buff active. These 10 characters have Afterimage Strike: Goku GT, Goku Teen, Gohan Kid, Krillin, Super Saiyan Vegito, Videl, Master Roshi, Pan, Dabura, and Zamasu. Anytime you see one of these characters show up, you can bet that they'll be looking to use Afterimage Strike as soon as they hit 3 skill counter stocks. We're not going to tell you that you need to play an on-meta team in order to succeed in Sparking Zero, but at the very least, you should be aware of what is considered strong and why. And the answer to what is currently considered strong is 4 to 5 person teams, characters with Afterimage Strike, characters with unblockable supers, giant characters, and Yajirobe. 4 and 5 person teams are exceptionally good because of how strong tagging characters in and out is. Unlike many other tag fighters, you can't punish someone for just tagging in a character in Sparking Zero. Instead, it's a risk-free way to bench injured fighters and bring in a fresh one, while all of the bench characters regain health. If you're good at making sure you swap a character out as soon as you're able, it will be hard for your opponent to maintain a life lead over you by the time the timer runs out, especially if you also have Yajirobe, who we'll get to in a sec. We already talked about Afterimage Strike, but it's especially annoying because so many low-cost characters have it, allowing you to assemble a full team of 4 or 5 characters, with each of them having access to Afterimage Strike. Characters with unblockable blasts are hugely annoying to deal with, because all they have to do is get really close to you and use their blast. The only way for you to avoid it is by timing a very precise vanish or quickstep. Notable fiends in this category include Krillin with his Destructo Disc, Future Trunks from Super, Full Power Final Form Frieza, Legendary Super Saiyan Broly, and for whatever reason, they also gave Yajirobe an unblockable super, because of course they did. Giant characters are gigantic knowledge checks, and even if you do know how to deal with them, it still doesn't make it easy. Their Dragon Dashes are unblockable attacks and deal huge chunks of damage, though they can be perception blocked. They have super armor against most of the cast, they can't be thrown, and their throws cannot be broken. Your best option is to use your mobility to get behind them with a character that's powerful enough to break their super armor. And finally, there's Yajirobe, who we have a whole separate video about. In short, if he gets to 5 stocks of his skill counter, he can use a full heal, which makes him the king of stalling and timeouts. When coming up with a team, if you really want to be competitive at the higher ranks, your best bet is to have a 4 to 5 person team that has some combination of characters with these traits. And those are some tips to help you be more competitive against other players in Sparking Zero. Thanks for watching, and for more Sparking Zero tips, make sure to also check out our advanced combat guide. And be sure to also check out our ever-growing guide on IGN.com. And for everything else, keep it here on IGN.